You are now listening to Fourth Down Fiasco, Season 2.
Fires, Mike Sims, Walker, knocked down.
Oh my God! Davis is going running all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game.
In trouble, he's going to be sacked. No, gets away. He runs, gets away again, goes to the 40, gets away again.
Jackson takes it himself. Look at him dart back and forth. Oh! He broke his ankles.
I have never seen this before in my life.
Still looking, firing, near corner. It's caught.
Denver, unbelievable.
And welcome to the Fourth Down Fiasco.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Fourth Down Fiasco, your go-to podcast for all things football, brought to you by BetStamp. BetStamp is the sports bookie of all sports bookies. You can go there. They have BetMGM, Bet365, Caesars, FanDuel, all the big name sports bookies all in one place just for you. So go ahead, place a $10 bet. You can find them at signupexpert.com/fiasco. But with me today, an individual who, he has spent plenty of time playing football in the Alps, the Black Sheep Performance Powerhouse, the Roger Bacon Battler, the Fresh Prince of Ohio, the man who is one hell of a Helvetic quarterback, Mr. Carlton Aiken Jr. How are you, brother?
What an intro. That was great. The Fresh Prince of Ohio.
Hey, look, I was trying to write this down. It's Easter. For those of y'all listening, it's Easter when we're recording. And, it's been a long day. I had 2 services at church that I had to volunteer at, so I didn't write a regular intro. So I was like, what can I say? I was like, Fresh Prince of Ohio. It was the first thing that came to mind. So
that was good. I appreciate you guys for having me back on the show. Before, when you guys didn't have any sponsors. So that first, it was sport. What was it? What was the sponsors?
Shoot. Now you're asking me off the top. BetStamp. There we go. BetStamp.
That's huge. Look at that. We're growing. We're getting.
Hey, we're growing the pod for sure. Hey,
I'm just glad I was on it. I can't say I'm a bandwagoner. I was
exactly.
Fun, so
you an OG Unk status for sure.
Hey, I'm just happy you guys have me back on here, man.
Yeah, no, we're glad to have you back on. No, yeah, you were our first athlete interview. Now that I think about it.
Hey, there it is.
There it is. Look at you. But yeah, so today we're going to be talking about the South Division in the European League of Football. Figured it was appropriate to bring on, a former Helvetic Mercenary himself to come talk to us about the Helvetic Mercenaries as well as the rest of their division. So, we can go ahead and dive into this. I figure we can go ahead and toss it to the Helvetic Mercenaries, talk about them first, just because I know that those are your boys. So, we got some big signings, especially Keelan Cole, individual with not just NFL experience, like some of the other guys might have some practice squad experience here and there, maybe did a couple snaps or two. Keelan Cole is an individual who got some real NFL play, got some real, some stats. I think he had like a 600 or 700 yard season one year. So, a guy who's made $15 million in his lifetime. Yeah. Adding on to a Mercenaries team that already has Milan Spiller, who that's your guy, an individual who I believe he was 3rd or 4th in the league in yards for receivers. So pretty solid 1-2 punch. What do you think about that?
I think it's huge for not only just the Helvetic Mercenaries. I think it's huge for the league. I think it just shows. I think when I was on here before, I talked about, where the league was going and what I thought, how great of a league it is, and just another opportunity for guys to keep playing at an extremely high level. So I think it's great for just the ELF itself. Again, a former NFL, he's definitely the biggest NFL name that we've got. So, I think that's huge. And as in I'm not talking about the Mercenary, I'm talking about just the ELF itself as an alumni. But yeah, you look at other guys too, like Reed Sennett. Am I saying it's Reed Sennett?
I think it's Sennett. Yeah, I've been corrected on that a couple of times.
Reed Sennett, another guy this offseason who's had, NFL experience, a practice squad guy. But, when you talk about ELF quarterbacks, he's probably the biggest or has the best resume coming in just because he started for the XFL. He had other professional sports league experience at an extremely high level, probably the second best league in the world. So yeah, I mean, the league is on the up and up, but for Keelan Cole, for the Mercenaries, I think is huge. There's a lot more that we can go in detail about it and what I think is what's going to happen, but I think it's a great signing for them and definitely, a big name. I don't think anyone's seen once the Mercs signed the other receiver, what's his name?
Pull him up. I have their roster up here.
They signed him first, and he couldn't come because of the whole German league football thing.
Oh, right. I'm spacing what you're talking about, but he's not on the.
No, I can't. His name is slipping my mind. But when the Mercs signed him, I was like, wow, like that's a huge signing. And then when they signed, when all that happened, when it went down, I was like, oh no, like I don't know what the Mercs are going to do. And then it came back with probably a bigger and better receiver. So yeah, I think it's great. Long story short, it's a great signing.
Yeah, it's one of those things of like we did a top 10 players in the ELF thing probably about a week or two ago.
I've seen that.
And it was hard because I wanted to put Keelan Cole higher because at the end of the day, if you want to talk about just pure resume, he has the best resume in the league. Aside from, if you want to include like Coach Del Rio, but as far as the players are concerned, has the best resume. And, but it's one of those things of like the ELF is just such a different league. The way that the games are played is so different. And because you have such a wide variety of guys who some are converted rugby players, some guys are, from all different types of sports that you almost have to relearn the game in a new way. And I think that's, you talked about that a little bit in our interview with you of, it's still grown men and it's still grown men football and they still hit like grown men, but the way that the game is played is just significantly different than how we play it here in the States,
Yeah.
So it's hard because it's like I would want to put him at like, 1 or 2, but at the end of the day, what does it look like for him with Isaiah Weed as his quarterback? A guy who is kind of unproven in this league in comparison to some other quarterbacks and stuff. So
that's the thing, and I know we talked about, and I coined the phrase the Superman factor.
Right.
There's just so much. It's kind of like frustrating as a player because, well, as a former player, when you see the rankings and stuff like that, and it's like him by himself, he's probably one of the best receivers in the league. Now, if you guys are going strictly off of, is he the best top 10 player in the league? Absolutely, hands down, he's probably number one. But does that mean that, is this list also like, is he going to have a top 10 season this year? Is that what you guys are saying? Like, is he top 10 in the league, period, and he's going to have a top 10 season? Or is he top 10 in the league and then he might have a top 20 season? Like, what was it? Do you guys think he'll have a top 10 season? Is that what you guys are saying?
Yeah. So the way that we were supposed to rank it is simply just the individual. That's what Matt Bresington. Yeah, that's what Matt Bresington asked was just the individual. Are they a top 10 individual?
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
He's probably 100%. He's probably number one.
Yeah.
I think you have to go number one.
But for me, even with Matt having that caveat for us, my brain doesn't operate that way. And I'm looking at it like, yes, as far as a physical just freak of nature, is he the most freak of nature in the ELF now? Probably. But then once you start to factor in Isaiah Weed as his quarterback.
Now, that's the other part. Now, is he going to have a top 10 season? If I'm being completely honest, I think he can have a top 10 season because we see Milan Spiller. I had two guys who were, if I never got hurt, if AB never got hurt, I would have had two receivers over 1,000 yards. It would have been AB and Milan. So will he have a top 10 season? Probably, most likely. I would have to go back and see what Weed's receivers did last year, and then I'll have to go back and look at Coach Herford's his offense. I think he has a high-powered offense. So I think when he was in Milan with the big what's the old Milan quarterback, number 7? He was a little older, but I can't remember. But when he was with him in Milano, I think he had like he threw for like 50 touchdowns or something like that. So I know he's a high-powered throwing offense. So I think it's safe to say that he'll have a good season. But there's just so many factors, and team is the biggest one. Yeah. The surrounding cast around you. Yeah. And it's just tough with those teams, like the bottom half of the league, or maybe the bottom fourth of the league, is just tough with those teams and the supporting cast. It really just goes off of how good are the guys around you, honestly.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. It's, football's not like basketball. Basketball, you can put, Steph Curry or KD or whoever else in their prime on a team, and they can carry them by themselves to, a Western Conference Finals or something like that.
Yeah.
You can't do that in football. There are too many guys on the field at one time.
Yeah, me and AB, Anthony Brown, we used to talk about it all last year because I was just like, damn, this is such a tough situation because luckily, like, guys like yourselves and Matt Bressington and other guys seeing the talent that I had. But in my mind, I'm like, bruh, I'm so much better than what is going on around me right now. Like, and it's so frustrating. And I'm like, if you put me on any other team in the league, like, we're a player, and that's just me. I'm retired now, so I can say whatever I want. I'm like, if you put me on like another team, we're easily going deep in the playoffs. Like, I'm not a scrub. I had to go back to my house. Like I was him at one point. What happened? I'm glad I did have that one game versus the Vienna Vikings though, where I went crazy. But I'm like, oh my God, there's so much that goes on. Like, we talk about coaching and just the organization itself is so hard. If you're in a bad situation, especially at quarterback, you look at guys like Levi Lewis, who's probably one of the best quarterbacks.
We talked about him
into the league. It's tough when you're in a tough situation. Is Levi Lewis one of the better quarterbacks just by himself that we had in the league? Absolutely. Were we going to say he's not that good because he was on Barcelona? Heck no. I still think he's an amazing quarterback. It's just, look at the team. Look at the situation he's in. So when you go from like preseason, they had him in the MVP race, and then after everything went on, everyone just kind of forgot about him, and it's like, it's just so tough. So there's so many factors that go into if a guy will be good. And that's why I'm like, it's so. When we talk about top 10 and all that stuff, you guys literally you just pick the top 5 teams in the league and take the 2 best players on that team because that's how you'll get your top 10 because it's going to matter of who's the best on offense and defense. So.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a struggle, and it's definitely all about like situation and stuff. Who was it that we were talking to the other day that they I want to say, was it Riley Hennessy? Yeah, I think it was Riley that was saying the other day that you are only as good as your homegrown talent.
I remember saying that in my first interview. It's like with the Mercs, it's like it's not a big pool. It's not like Germany. You don't have all this talent. And I'm looking at the Mercs roster. I have it pulled up right here, and it's like I'm looking at the O-line, and I played with none of these guys last year. There's 4 Swiss O-linemen on the Mercs roster right now. And I played with none of these guys. I think I played with Niels Meyer. He's the only one. But all these, it's like you don't have, and that's how you win, honestly. O-line and this is how you win. So like it's just so tough because teams like Switzerland in these smaller markets, just you don't have anyone really. Like it's just tough. It's all about the guys around you.
Yeah. Well, I think the one thing that the Mercenaries are being smart about is that they're using imports on that offensive line. They've brought in a couple of guys from Finland, and they are massive human beings. So we've been talking about just past couple of weeks about how massive all Finnish people happen to be in this league. It seems like every dude who's from Finland is like 6'5", 310 pounds, and is just a tree. So. It's encouraging to see that they're using some of those tags for that offensive line. Because I think that, Isaiah Weed is another individual who, like you, kind of had a bad situation and could have been better. Like there's definitely some athleticism with him. And, he's got a solid arm, but his last year just wasn't very good. So
yeah, for sure. He's another guy in those situations where it's just like the talent around him. I think we all know what the bad franchises were last year and previous years. So he was definitely on one of those franchises. I'm not saying now I don't know anything about Cologne and going forward. Obviously, in this league, a franchise can turn around in 1 year, in a couple of months. Right. We've seen it with Stuttgart before Coach. I don't even know his name, but before Coach before he got there, and then to where they are now, a championship caliber team. That all happened in one offseason. So that's one good thing about the league. It's like 1 year you guys can be bad, and then the next year you guys could be a championship contender. So I think he has obviously. I think he has that Superman factor that I was talking about. I always think Division II guys and Division II quarterbacks especially do really, really well in this league. You look at guys like the Jacob Sullivans and, Magic Zach Edwards and other guys who had to be that guy for their team in college and already have that. And I think he touched on it in an interview that he had as well. But when you have to be that guy for your team, like if you take him off that team, they're going to be bad. If you have that experience doing that, especially in college, you'll be fine in this league. And it helps that he is a dual threat quarterback, especially with the Swiss O-line. I'm not sure about the new guys that they had, but I'm just thinking of like last year, you had to have been a runner in that
Right.
In that offense. So these smaller market teams with bad O-lines, you have to be a runner. You have to be able to create with your feet. And I think obviously he's probably one of the best, if not the best in the league. I know the Panthers quarterback is a dual threat guy, but it's probably the best in the league at extending the play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. Again, a lot of talent there. And, I think just the upgrades in general, I think that Helvetic is going to be a much more competitive team than they were last year. And that's no knock on you. You know that. But I think just as far as like the things that they're doing, on both sides of the ball, I think that they've made some improvements to the defense. I'm excited to see Crawford out there. They've made improvements to the offensive line. I think that's going to help Weed. That's going to help Cole. That's going to help Milan Spiller. They've got some guys. And
I'm looking at it now. I'll give you O-line. They definitely took a step in the right direction. Mm-hmm. Quarterback, I say they did good at quarterback. I'm not going to say better.
Okay.
They did good at quarterback. Receiver, they did amazing. They got Milan Spiller and they got Keelan Cole. I'll say they upgraded there. No knock on AB. Now, that's all we had last year. Last year was literally AB and Milan. This year is looking like, I know some of these guys, no offense, is looking like the same thing, but that's okay. They can get the job done with just two guys out there. Running backs was a huge issue last year. Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that they've made much change there.
I don't know.
As far as getting a big, I don't think that it's the same guys as last year, but there's nobody that jumps off the page.
I remember Lennox, he came to a couple practices, but he couldn't practice because it was after the signing deadline. He was supposedly pretty good. I don't know. Running backs that's going to be a question mark. I'm going to say probably not, just because it was a struggle for us last year and we had like 2 E-tags and it still didn't work out. D-line, I think, is the biggest hindrance. Obviously, it's hard to – they got Mike coming back and they got DeMarco Artis, who's a great guy. Yeah. I don't know about RJ Sanya. I heard all the hype about it. I just don't know, just because Switzerland football, like in the lower leagues, is just not a high level of football. Mm-hmm. But it's just so tough to replace a Tim Haney and all these other guys. It's just tough. And then, obviously PY going to another team, that hurts as well. So it's just, I think DeMarco is a great player, but and Mike is a good, solid player. It's just hard, replacing like the Tim Haneys of the world and all those other guys. So that's tough. DBs wise, I'm excited to see Jock, what he does. Obviously, a little older now, 37. Probably one of the oldest players in the league, but I mean, he's still a great athlete. We're talking about one of the most athletic guys in the league. He's probably up there, even at his age. So it's just exciting. It's hard to switch any position, even in college, like trying to go from a running back to another position. So in the pros, we'll have to see that. And then linebacker too, I think that's another spot where lost some guys. We got Tim Sherman coming back, who's obviously a great player, who's definitely one of the leaders on the team, and he was starting to step up as that leader last year. But then again, you lost a lot of guys. So it's going to be it's definitely a new team. I'm looking at some of these names and I'm like, who are these people? But it's good though. It's good. It's good because a lot of those guys had the wrong mindset too from last season. A lot of those guys were kind of upset with the whole front office in Switzerland. So it's good that they made the clean sweep. So I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, and also, I think that a couple of other things that factor in, when we talk about the South Division, nobody has a particularly great defense in the South Division. I'd probably give the best defense to probably Munich. But this is not a defense heavy conference. So, if y'all are able to win some of the shootouts, I think that y'all are going to be a fun, exciting team.
Yeah,
we were talking about it. Yeah, we were talking about it in the last pod, talking about Prague specifically. We were like, they'll be bad, but they'll be fun bad. And so I think that Helvetic might be kind of that same thing where we might blink and go, wow, they have 5 wins this year. And that's crazy.
I pray they do. That would be a huge step in the right direction, just as a foundation, just with a new coach and solidifying some stuff in the front office. I think that'd be huge going forward. Looking at the South Division, I would say Madrid is
the runaway favorite.
Yeah, Madrid is the runaway favorite. And then you got the Raiders, who are always good, coach really, really well, and always have a pretty solid defense and have big guys. I would say they're like one of the biggest teams. So they're always good. Munich, new quarterback, Russell Faber. You have the big receiver, though, who's really, really good. I don't know, his name is slipping me right now. But I would say the South is not that bad, though. It's like some really good teams.
Yeah, I think that it'll be a very evenly balanced division. Unlike there have been some other divisions where we're like, oh, God, the top 2 teams are just going to destroy a lot of teams.
I'm looking at the East right now, and I'm like, Vienna is the clear runaway favorite in the East.
Yeah.
I don't see the Panthers. I don't see the Lions. I don't see the Enthroners.
No.
The Vikings. Yeah,
I have qualms with that division.
That's a tough division. But I think the Mercs are still making steps in the right direction to get back on track or get on track and just build a foundation. I think if they have a good season this year, like you said, 5 wins, 4 wins, I think it's going to be a lot more appealing to other guys going into next season. It's tough when you're coming off a 3-9 and then you're going 1-11 and then it's yet to be seen, but I think the foundation is there, so they just have to build on it and keep guys like Milan Spiller. I know he wanted to go to college last year, and that didn't work out. So it's try to keep guys and make sure guys like that stay.
Yeah. So, okay, final predictions for Helvetic. How do you think that they're going to fare in the division? 1, 2, 3, or 4?
I think, let's go do it like this. I don't think they're going to beat Madrid 2 times. I don't think they're going to beat the Raiders 2 times. I seen Matt and Nauf say that they would split with the Ravens. So I could see that as well. Maybe 3 or 4 in that division. Yeah.
And then their intra-conference matchups. Hold on, I have that pulled up as well. They have to play the Nordic Storm twice. Those are drops. But they do play the Prague Lions twice.
I think that's a good one. Again, Prague, a completely different team, and there's a lot of hype about Prague this year. They got my guy, Ken Hike, over there. So that's good. And then they got my other guy, quarterback over there, who's really good. I can see them splitting with Prague again. I heard Prague obviously is having issues as well on their own. So, yeah, I can see them splitting. Now, if they were playing a team like Cologne or something like that, I would be like, I think they could beat Cologne two games. But it's just a tough schedule. So, again, if they can put together and muster up a couple wins, 4 wins against a extremely hard schedule like they have, I think it's that's also the steps in the right direction. So I got my Milan Spiller jersey on. I'm all Merc, so I'm praying that they do have a great season and silence all the doubters. So
fair enough. Yeah, it's hard. I want to put them at 3rd in the division so bad. I have a very wonky looking division as far as where I have people ranked, but that's because it's Easter and I haven't really had time to look into this, but. Yeah. I'll get into 1, 2, and 4 later on because it's going to be wild. But I have them at 3. I think that they're going to sneak in some wins. I think that they're going to do kind of the same thing as Prague, where people are going to have them circled on the calendar of oh, that's an easy win. And they're going to realize, oh, shit, no, they've got NFL talent on this team. And they're going to put up a lot of points. So
you have to be careful. And I think I think before Coach Kolek got to the Mercs last year, if we had a better offensive system, we would have won a lot of those closer games. So we were easily close again, 4 wins last year. So I think just the Mercs having a better coach and more of a solid foundation, that they should be able to squeeze out some wins. Still hurting just because if they kept all of the talent that we had last year, all the homegrown talent, I think the Mercs would easily be fighting for that second spot. But it's just tough when you all of the homegrown guys leave, it's just tough. It's just tough for any smaller market team like that. So, but
For
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Well, that takes us to, so we're going to jump across to the other side of the Alps, talk about Raiders Tirol a little bit here.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I have a real love-hate relationship with this roster. I feel like, you know, you have Connor Miller, who on his upside, still a D1 quarterback, even if he was a career, you know, second stringer, that's still a D1 arm. But also, you know, that means that your floor can be pretty bad since the guy hasn't played real meaningful football in 4 years.
So I play with Connor in Barcelona. You know, that's one of my guys. You know, I would say one of my friends in the league for sure. So it's not like we talk often or all the time or anything like that. But when he got hurt, that's how I got my shot in the ELF, because Barcelona played him. And so yeah, he's getting a little older, right? He's about to be 30 soon, so you have to pay attention to that. And again, he's not really mobile, and I think that's kind of why he struggled with some injuries. Obviously, when you're standing in the pocket, you get hit a lot, but he has that O-line that gives him time to do what he can do, right? And when you see a lot of these Division I quarterbacks come down or come into this league, they're used to having that time in the pocket where they can sit back and operate, right? So if you look at guys like Riley Hennessy, who was a former Division I guy, and guys like that where they can sit back and do what they do at a high level, I think it's good. So I think him being on the Raiders, I think we'll see a side of Connor Miller that we haven't seen since he was playing in the Austrian league when he was, you know, with Graz and in the French league as well. So I think he'll have a really good team. I think it will be in a lot of shootouts. I'm looking at this O-line right now for Raiders, and they look like big dudes. And then Raiders is always a great team. They're coached really, really well. They have one of the best running backs in the league with Tobias Bonatti. He's a handful to try to stop. And great receivers. You talk about Plutz Gummer and Marco Schneider, and then they have the American as well, Ja'Cory Sullivan coming in. Obviously, another guy that we don't know too much about just because he's coming from a Division I university. I think he was with Western Michigan. But you already have three great homegrown receivers or players around you with Bonatti, Plutz Gummer, and Schneider. So great offense, great O-line. Defense, always good. Like I said, Aaron Mack's a great player. Dijon Walls. So yeah, I think they'll be good.
Yeah, I am very curious to see about Ja'Cory Sullivan, just because, you know, I know that the ELF isn't as fast as, you know, the XFL, the NFL. And so him running a 4.7 40 may not hurt him, but he is not a speedster by any means, but he is a huge target. Like, the guy is like 6'3", like 220. He's a massive human being. So
yeah. It just comes down to if he had the X factor. I'll have to go on and watch his film. I think I have a good X factor radar. If he's catching slants and breaking 5 tackles and going to score a touchdown, that's how you can determine like the X factor on the guy. So yeah, if he has that X factor, if you take him off that offense and they can't do much without him in college, if you go back and look, then yeah, he'll be fine. Like, if you could take a hitch and break 5 tackles in this league, I always go back and look at Tony Tate. I know it was before you guys got to the league, but he was with Roslaw. He was with the Panthers, and he was one of those guys. Like, they brought him around on end arounds. He would take a handoff and go score. They'd throw a hitch, he would go score. He would go deep, he would score. So if they have that guy like that who can just get the ball in his hands, he can score.
I mean, from the footage that I've seen, he kind of, in a way, has a similar game from what I've seen to like a Des Bryant, where he is the kind of guy, catches a slant, breaks 4 or 5 tackles, hard to bring down. You give him a jump ball, he can, you know, moss over people. Big hands from what I've seen, just massive baseball mitts for hands.
Yeah.
So I think that he'd be a good target for Connor. I just think that it's a matter of, you know,
and we've seen receivers like that in the league have a lot of success. When you look at like the Malik Stanleys of the world, obviously probably one of my favorite receivers in the league. I don't really know him that personally, but if there's a guy I wish I had at receiver, I would say definitely Malik Stanley. You know, a big target and another guy who can catch a hitch and then take it to the house. I mean, I seen it in person when we played against them. So, if he could produce like that, like a Malik Stanley, who's like a freak of nature, 1,000% he'll be good in the league.
Yeah, and then to your point again, you mentioned Platzgummer, who's fantastic, Benatti, who is phenomenal. I think that this team they have a very high ceiling, but I can also see a world where if things don't align, that it can crash and burn very quickly.
I mean, the league is so tough, and I don't have their schedule pulled up, and
they have the hardest strength of schedule.
Yeah, it's not like it's not too far fetched to see a team like this, like maybe go 500 or maybe go 6 and 6. Yeah. So yeah, it's just tough. It's tough in this league. It's getting even tougher. Like if you put this roster back in the first year in 2021, they probably win the whole championship. So it's just crazy to see how fast the league is growing and how much talent it is, and it's great to see, honestly.
Yeah, no, it's good for the league. Yeah, I have their schedule pulled up here, and so their intra-conference schedule, they do luckily get to play Cologne twice, which will be good for them. But their other intra-conference matchups are the Rhine Fire and the Vienna Vikings, both of whom they have to play twice. So that's tough.
Rhine is another team. If I'm going to look at theirs, they got Chad.
They're not the same team as last year. I know they're still going to be really good, but they're not the same team.
They're coached really well. They have a great front office. They're coached really well.
And they have probably the best offensive line in the league.
They're always going to be good. So, Ryan is always going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and I still don't know if there's enough talent on this Raiders roster to compete with the Ryan, even if they aren't the same Ryan team as last year. So that's hard. It's hard. So, because for me, I wanted to have them just going based off the interconference schedule. I think that they're going to drop both games to Vienna. I think they're going to drop both games to Rhine, and that's hard, especially in their division. They have Madrid, who I think Madrid is a better team than they are. And so, even if they're lucky and they split, we're talking about automatically 5 losses right there, and then heaven forbid if Helvetic or Munich, sticks it to them for one game and now they're staring 6 and 6 in the face. So ranking them's really hard.
Munich and the Raiders are always a great game. Like I always look at that as like a little rivalry. That's always a good, fun game to watch. So I wouldn't put it past them. And I like the Ravens. I think the Ravens are a solid team. I think the Raiders are better than them, though, on roster, on paper. I think they're better. So, yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It's so hard speculating, especially I think once that first week hits, we all get a better idea of who these guys actually are.
Yeah, that week one literally sets the stage for the season.
Yeah, where you're like, okay, all right, so this hype that we had for this one guy is BS, or oh, hey, who's this dude over here? So
yeah, I think if you asked me last year after the very first game when we lost to Barcelona, I think everyone was like, it's going to be a long season. It's going to be a long season.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the only thing fun for us Barcelona fans was getting a win over y'all. So let's have it. At least y'all weren't relegated. So.
Yeah, that's true. Finish the season.
So, okay, for Raiders Tirol, 1, 2, 3, or 4, where do you think they land in the division?
2.
2? Okay. Yeah. I had to do some switching around. I'm still going to keep Helvetic at 3. I originally, just because of strength of schedule, had Raiders Tirol at 4, but I just kept looking at it. I was like, that doesn't seem right. So I'll have them at 2, but it's with an asterisk. I do think that there is a potential where they could somehow slip to 3 just because of how hard their intra-conference scheduling is.
Well, when do they play the Ravens? How deep into the season? Like, when do they play? Let me try to pull up their schedule.
So it goes week 1, Raiders versus Ravens. Then they play Helvetic. Then they play Cologne, Vienna, Madrid, Helvetic again, Vienna, Rhine, Munich, Madrid, and then Rhine and Cologne to finish off the season.
So I think they'll be 2 because they play like they open up with Munich, so everyone's going to be healthy, right? Mm-hmm. They get a win there. They're going to be riding high into the Mercenaries. They should handle business there. And then you said Munich again after that.
Then Cologne, which that should be a pretty simple win.
That's 3 right there. Then you said Vienna, so that might be 3 and 1.
Yeah.
And you said the Helvetic Mercenaries again?
No, then for week 5, it's Madrid.
So that's like 3-2.
3-2. Then they play Helvetic again. So
they'll be coming for another win, 4-2. Yeah, I think. Yeah. Now, if it was like the end of the season, let's say they were front half heavy and they just went like 0-6, then I think they'd be like, all right, like guys gonna be throwing in the towel and stuff like that. So then they might drop. But I think because they start off with those three teams, I think they're favored in those games. So I think 2 is a good spot.
Well, thank you for talking me off of a cliff before I made way too spicy of a take. Because again, I was just looking at the intra-conference stuff, and I was just like, I don't know, man. But then I was like, I like having Helvetic at 3rd because I think that they are a spicy enough team that they deserve to be in 3rd. Like I do think that they're going to surprise some folks this year.
Yeah.
But then that, unfortunately, I guess that'll take us to Munich, who I have as 4th. But maybe you can talk me off of that cliff as well.
I think if there's a team that you lost, one of your best players in Chad Jeffries. I'm not sure what the heck happened with that.
Yeah. And Russell Tabor is very unproven. UNC guy, never got a single starting rep.
Very, very, very unproven.
Like painfully unproven.
And he was in the Spanish league before.
That I don't know. I just know that he didn't play a single snap in being on a D1 team.
Yeah. So like LFNA, I think he was on that team. It's so tough with guys like that, and it's like with guys who didn't play in college and just throwing them into the mix like that. It's just tough. Like I can't really. I would say one thing: he doesn't have the Superman factor, or it's yet to be proven. I don't know if he's a dual threat guy. I haven't seen any tape. So it's just, he's just unproven. So because of that, I can see them being at 4. Because obviously quarterback is the end-all, be-all in this league. Like if you have a bad quarterback, you're not going to be good. So even if you have a good quarterback, if you don't have the pieces around you, you're not going to be good. But he has Malik Stanley. And I will still, I think Malik Stanley is, top 2 receivers in the league. So get the ball in his hands and you'll do great things. You'll always have a great O-line in Munich. So there's that. I'm looking at their roster. They have like 15 guys. I'm looking at this right now on their roster. So that's crazy.
Big boys.
And then you got Justin Rodney, who's a great player. I'm not seeing that one guy that they had last year. Did he leave, that one running back?
Yes, he did.
He's an what's his name?
You want to pronounce that?
Okay, listen.
I was like, do you want to go down that route?
I'm good.
I'm with you on the running back situation is just not quite as strong as it was last year. Malik Stanley is good, but
13 is really good. One of the most annoying players, but he's pretty good. Number 2 on their defense, he's really good. I'm high on him.
Nitzlander?
Christoph Nitzlander.
Yeah, Nitzlander.
Yeah, I think he's really, 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 really good. I think he's an annoying player. I don't like playing against him, but I know Milan does not. I can't wait for that because him and Milan do not like each other, and I think that's a good.
Now I have that circled. I want to see that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you go back and you look, they're chirping.
Oh, good.
Like, oh yeah.
Does Milan talk shit like that?
No.
I was about to say.
He's a little spicy. Milan's a little spicy. When he gets going, he gets going. Like Milan is actually, he does talk a little shit. Like he has that it factor where he's like, he knows how good he is and he wants the ball in his hand. So he'd be like, throw me the ball. I'm open. They can't guard me. But he'll say with like a smile on his face. He's not like one of these receivers like, give me the ball. He's just like, bro, they can't guard me. So that's my Milan Spiller in-game impression. Throw me the ball.
I'm clipping that. I hope you know that is.
Please do. It's a joke because we always like whenever I see him, I'm like, throw me the ball. I'm the Milan Spiller. But no, I think they have a solid defense. They always do. I know they're hitting a defensive guy. But because of Russell Tabor, and I'm gonna use this as an excuse to put them at 4, so my Mercs don't go at 4. They go at 3. I'm gonna say just because it's a question mark. He can go out there and be trash. We don't know. You just don't. Yeah. You don't know. So,
Yeah. And again, I think that there's something to be said about, it would be different if he had any type of snaps whatsoever, like even just true backup snaps, where it's like, hey, we're blowing this team out, let's put this guy in. There are no stats from his college career.
Then it just depends. Was he a walk-on guy or was he – I'm looking him up right now. Was he a walk-on guy or was he a scholarship guy? Like, was he?
I thought he was a scholarship guy, but I also don't follow UNC football like that. So
I don't. I'm looking at him now. I'm on his 247, 6'3", 200. Went to Country Day in North Carolina, so he's a North Carolina guy. He might
have walked on then.
No stars, no nothing. I think he was a walk. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he had a bunch of D1 AA offers. He had Brown, Charleston, Davidson, and Dayton. So he's probably a walk-on guy at UNC, which obviously walk-ons still have a lot of respect. He had a lot of Division I AA scholarships. But again, it's just tough when you haven't played in college. So
yeah. And
but Munich, I would say Munich they have a great front office and they know talent. So something they must have seen something. I know they have Sean Shelton there, who's a Europe legend, probably one of the best quarterbacks in all of Europe history. So I know he knows a lot of talent. He played the position, so they must see something in him. But I'm not seeing it, so I'm putting him at 4. So
fair enough. I like it. I'm putting him at 4 as well. And that takes us to the last of the teams, the one who seems kind of like the runaway favorite in this league or in this particular division, the Madrid Bravos, who signed Reed Sinnett, who has NFL practice squad experience. They also have, a nice little wide receiver core going on too with Aaron Cruikshank, who besides Keelan Cole probably has the best wide receiver resume, guy who actually got some NFL snaps at least, in-game snaps, which is, saying a lot as far as translating it over. They have Iron Dunov, who, was probably the only bright spot on that Barcelona team last year. The only person that I could rely on to actually catch a pass. Sorry, that was mean of me. I should be saying all that out loud. But yeah, no, I like this squad. I think that their defense has a lot to make up for because this defense just really doesn't move me.
Well, I think last year they got into a lot of shootouts as well. I think that was like the Achilles heel, especially when their quarterback went down. I think it was so many shootouts, but I think overall they took a huge step in the right direction. Like I love Madrid. Sure. I wish that someone had asked me last year before the season how good Madrid would have been because there were so many people putting them at like 10 and 11. I'm like, you guys are crazy. Just looking at their imports, I knew Madrid was going to be insane, right? And I think this year they've taken a step up at every single position. So I played with a lot of these guys in my time in Barcelona. So a lot of these guys I know them personally. I know how good they are. Ido Molina. One of the best E-tag in the entire league. Oh, my God. I tried to get him to Swiss before, but Madrid came in and scooped him up before I got a chance. One of the best running backs in the league. Elvis Rodriguez, one of my best friends in all of Europe, can't even really speak English. Always my dog came out and played with me in Switzerland after the whole thing in Barcelona went down. He's a center, one of the best centers in the league, in my opinion. Great O-line. They already had an amazing O-line before that with a lot of guys. Reed Sinnett, obviously, I think took a step in the right direction with him. You talk about a guy who didn't have – I mean, he got a shot in the NFL and I think he was on like 3 different teams. So he's obviously really, really good. But
yeah, there's Jets, Pats, and Dolphins, I believe.
Bengals too.
Okay, not Dolphins, Bengals. That's right.
Yep. And then he played – I think he started for the Roughnecks in the European League.
XFL?
XFL. Yeah, I think he started for the Roughnecks. So a guy who has a lot of professional experience. He played for the Bahamas as well, and the Roughnecks.
Oh, San Antonio?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, obviously a step in the right direction in there. And if you're talking about receivers, you got Jordy, my little guy Jordy, who was really, really good for Barcelona 2 years ago. Aaron Cruikshank, who I've known since I was in college. He was in high school. He went to E Hall, and E Hall is right down the street from Pace University. So a lot of my guys knew him. Great receiver. I think he's going to do wonders. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's going to be good.
He's a dog.
His team is going to be insane. And then obviously Flores Calderon, obviously one of the better E-tag receivers in the league. Defensively, I think they took another step in the right direction. You got one of the Brugnani brothers. You got Alex Bacido. You got Orea, who's really good. You got Andy Vera, who's one of the better, corners, DBs in the league. So I think this is a really, really stacked. And then to top it off, you got Raul Sanuda Pastor, who's one of the best tight ends in the league. And I think he opened up a lot of guys' eyes last year. And then you got Piwa, one of the best linemen. Like, this team hits on every single every position they hit, especially the best offensive mind in all of Europe. American offensive mind, because European offensive mind, I think, is my guy, Michał Kolik in Poland. But American offensive mind, your head coach, one of the best. So I think this team is just set up to do really, really, really great things.
Yeah.
I think I have them up there in the championship, definitely playoff category. I think they're a really, really good team. I think they're going to be really good.
Yeah, I think that I'm with you. Definitely a playoff team. I have no doubts that they're going to win this division. They also have the easiest strength of schedule in the ELF.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
So I mean, we're talking about it. They might win. They might lose. Excuse me. They might maybe lose 2 games. And those 2 games are, might be because they don't take Helvetic seriously or something like that. Right. It's not going to be because they aren't the most talented team on the field.
Yeah.
Because, I'm looking at it. Yeah, they have to play Farivar, Frankfurt, which actually Frankfurt's might surprise some folks this year, and then Hamburg, which I am very low on Hamburg this year. I was also low on Frankfurt whenever we made the power rankings, but that was before they signed half their roster. And so now I'm just having to eat my words of I had them ranked 13th. So I'm just going to be the number one Frankfurt hater in the ELF. So.
Yeah. You and the ELF memes guy. I don't know if you were there for the ELF memes. He was a huge Frankfurt Galaxy fan. And then they Frankfurt Galaxy tweeted him or added him, and they were like, "We don't like you," and he was like, F the Frankfurt Galaxy.
Oh yeah, you know what? If they're gonna tell him that, down with Frankfurt.
It was all the players, everyone was hating on him because he was you guys suck.
But I'm with you. Especially this offense is stacked. This offense is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And now that Madrid's not having to compete with Barcelona for any players, the entire country of Spain is theirs, and there are great athletes in Spain, always have been. And
then you got the Spanish league ending right around the time that I think the championship game is May 5th or something. Mm-hmm. So you get all those guys who may have not been practicing or whatever, and they're going to come in, and this roster is going to be even bigger. But Spain is just one of those countries where you can only have one team. I know I seen something the other day about the Barcelona Dragons making a reboot or something like that. It's just going to be tough with Madrid being right there. I know it's 3 hours away or whatever, 4 hours away, but I think it's just one of those teams, one of those countries where it's only big enough for one team. It's not like a Germany where you can have 7 different teams, and
every team is still stacked with talent.
It's not like that. So.
Yeah. Well, whenever I decide to restart the Barcelona Dragons, I bring you out of retirement. It'll be great. I will make sure you have a good offensive line. That is a guarantee.
Oh my God. It's actually hilarious because a lot of my guys, a lot of the quarterbacks that I train, they don't realize I just got done playing. They always be calling me Unk and stuff like that. I'm like, you guys have no idea. So then I go out there and I'll start throwing the ball, and they're like, huh? I'm like, yeah, it's a little different, bro. I was actually pretty good when I played.
Bro, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Dude, at the other day at church, we did bubble soccer, and it was so funny because my teenage boys, I do youth group and middle school, high school. My teenage boys were talking so much crap leading up to it, and I'm not the athlete that you are, obviously, but I still outweigh these kids by like 80 pounds. Like I am a grown man. I am 200 pounds and I work out,
A grown man is a grown man.
Yeah. And so they're wanting to do like we did last man standing in the inflatable bubbles or whatever. And they're trying so hard. They're like double teaming me and I'm still knocking them over. And we had this one kid who actually he might be listening. Ty, if you're listening, this one goes out to you, brother. Ty's a bigger kid, at least. He's like 140, 145. He's a big kid for like a 14-year-old.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
And he was so excited to go up against me. And, dude, I laid him out. And I was like, yeah, this is payback for all those times y'all called me Unc and old and all this other stuff.
I'm only 26. They'd be like, come on, Unc. I'm like, you brother, I will drop all this right now and go back and put up 200 and 100 with 4 touchdowns right now. Come on, now. Put some respect on my name.
Yeah, no, it's funny. As soon as you get past like 25, everybody just thinks you're old, and
Well, I asked the little kids. I train little kids too, like 8, 9 years old. I'm like, how old do you guys think I am? They're like 42. I'm like, you shut your mouth right now. You don't ever.
Dude, I had some students today who were like, "Oh, you're like what, 35?" And I'm like, "Dang, bro." I'm like, my hairline's not that bad. Calm down.
Maybe because I got to wear this hat. Maybe they think my hairline's going, but nah.
That's funny.
Yeah, I got Madrid at number 1.
Okay. Yeah, I do too. I think that they'll also probably make some noise in the playoffs, be competitive. I think that they have a chance, depending on how that defense looks. I still have some skepticisms about it, but if that defense can be as good as you're projecting that they will be, they can be a problem because that offense is nuts.
Yeah, offense is nuts. I think they just boosted everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You still got Fernandez, who was like the defensive player, or he was up for like defensive player of the year in 2023, who's really good. And then you got PY, and then you got Bowen, who's like one of the best leaders probably for that team. So yeah, it's just a great team.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, cool. So normally whenever we finish these, I always end up asking like if you could plug and play one player from the NFL onto your team. But since you're retired at the moment, until I buy out Barcelona, since you're retired at the moment, what I did with Magic Zach, I will extend to you as well.
All right.
If there was a particular quarterback in the ELF that you would like to call out and say that in a quarterback drill you'd beat them one-on-one, who would it be?
What was Zach Edwards' response?
Zach said everybody.
That was going to be my response. I was if you wanted to, I was going to go through and name every single quarterback, but everybody. Honestly, I think I always got to go with myself.
I mean, yeah, but is there a particular someone that you want to call out? I just like beef,
Particular quarterback that I would call out. I'm not really friends with anybody, so they don't.
Yeah, don't cause me issues.
I don't even know half these guys. Like, who is Jeremy Musa? I don't know who that is. So, Michael Leon, who's that? Is that the quarterback for Hamburg? I don't know who that is. So. I'm not going to say everybody. I'll beat everybody. Let me not get in trouble. Okay. I know how it is. Let me not say I don't know who you guys are. I know who you guys are.
Are you beating Magic Zach then?
Am I beating Magic Zach?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm beating everybody. I do this for a living now. This is my full time. I teach quarterbacks how to throw a ball.
Hey, I just wanted it on the record. Yeah, okay. I'll let Zach know you said that he was a bitch and that you could throw better than him. That's.
Hey. He can watch the tape. I didn't say all that, but I think the ELF should do that, like an all-star weekend or something. Have a competition.
We've really been pushing for it because I think that it would be a really cool event. Could bring a lot of people in. Also, people who are new to the sport and don't really understand the nuances of it can at least just see like how difficult like the individual things are that people do.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
Well, cool. Before I'm
still trying to find a quarterback that I could like joke around and say I'd beat you. I don't know about maybe Javarian Smith. I would say if there's one quarterback I'm cool with in the league. So I'm calling you out, Javarian.
Okay, that was a very sad call out, but. Well, cool. Before I end the episode, you want to go ahead and plug all of your social media, your sports stuff too. Since you are teaching quarterbacks, maybe there's some young, impressionable minds out in Ohio looking to get better.
Yeah. I mean, anybody from Ohio watching this, obviously come to Black Sheep It's the best gym in all of Ohio. We got all the top guys, NFL guys, Joe Burrow, Sam Herbert just retired. So come and work out with the best. It's only my 8th month doing this, but, I'm doing my thing. Just got invited to the Elite 11 last week and got invited back to do it again and do the Elite 11 Academy in May when they come to Ohio. So, anybody want to come out and learn how to play quarterback, I got you. I'll make it really simple. Dumb it down for you, be good to go. But besides that, life is good. Just bought a house, almost 1 year into marriage. I think last year when you guys interviewed, I think I was freshly married. Yeah. So a couple of weeks till May 11th, 1 year married. So,
Oh, that's my birthday. Oh, we did talk about that. That's all right. We did talk about that.
Yeah. So everything's good. Bought a house, good.
Hey, look at you. That's better than me. Dude, the prices out here in Colorado are ridiculous.
Yeah,
bro.
I can't even imagine. Cincinnati is a great spot. We had to go 50,000 over the asking price, so that wasn't fun, but we got it. So.
Hey, yeah, y'all got a house, and congratulations on getting close to the 1 year anniversary. I'm sure I'll probably say something on the day of now that I remember it's my birthday. But well, cool.
Anybody wants to follow me, QB Coach Aiken on Instagram or
there we go.
That's my washed up when I used to play, but I'm on QB Coach Aiken now. That's where all my stuff is. So
QB Coach Aiken, we like that. Cool. All right, well, thanks everybody for listening. This has been Jordan Pryor and Carlton Aiken Jr., former Mercenaries quarterback, saying so long. Thank you so much for listening and hanging out with us.
Well, I like school, and I like football, and I'm gonna keep doing them both because they make me feel